So this is, gosh, I think I've lost track. Maybe our 7th episode of Unforgotten. And today we're focusing on Notre Dame swimming and diving. I'm joined by 3 members of the swimming and diving team, Sadler McKeen, Kelly Straub, and Luciana Thomas. Guys, let's just first start with, I know it's been a couple months, but I want to check in with all of you and see, wow, did you hear that?
Yeah.
That is the thunder in South Bend. Gosh, welcome to May. That's incredible. Let's check in with all you guys and see. I want you guys tell me how you're doing and where you're calling me from today. I'll start with you, Sadler. Where are you calling me from today?
All right. I'm calling you from Birmingham, Alabama. Sounds like the weather's a lot better here than it is in South Bend. So I had some nice time at home with the family.
Kelly, how about you?
Hi, I'm checking in from Omaha, Nebraska. It is currently rainy as well, so not as nice as Alabama.
And Luciana?
I'm in Springfield, Illinois, and it is storming as well. It was storming like all this morning and big thunderstorms and stuff, but.
Well, okay. So hopefully the weather turns for us here soon. I want to start with how you guys learned that the season was coming to an abrupt end. I know it's been about 2 months now. And I guess to clarify, Kelly, you're the diver, and
Right.
Sadler and Luciana, you're the swimmer. And I know the teams, you guys in many ways are linked, but I know in many ways you guys are independent and you'll have meets at different times. So Kelly, I want to start with you because if I'm correct, I think you guys were in the midst of a meet when this all went down.
Yeah.
So just let me know how you found out things were changing and just what those 48 hours or so were like when the season went from in progress to canceled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when we first got to Kentucky, we were all practicing. Of course, there were rumors. Everyone was talking about the coronavirus and, what other schools were experiencing. We knew that a couple schools had already canceled and gone online. And we were kind of thinking, or at least my team and I, were like, oh, it won't happen. Like Notre Dame won't cancel. And so that day passed, next day came, and we were actually in the middle of my 1 meter competition. We got through prelims, all fine and dandy. And then in the middle of finals, we got a text saying that, and an email saying that Notre Dame was going to go online. And it was crazy in the middle of a meet, and all of a sudden, all these rumors were coming around. Oh my gosh, they're going to cancel the meet. They're going to make us go home right now. And I will never forget the scene and the attitude of all the athletes that were competing at that moment. We all came together. It was something special almost because everyone knew in the middle of the meet that we weren't even going to be able to finish the meet. And so we all started cheering each other on, and we started talking to each other more, having fun. And then eventually Ted Howtow, the University of Kentucky coach, he got on the microphone and he said, I'm sorry, the meet because of coronavirus is now over. Hope you all stay safe. You can go home. And it was just surreal. I mean, it was just wild that in the middle of a meet, we couldn't even finish because of health and injury reasons.
That's crazy. I have talked to, I think now 6 or 7 teams. The closest that comes to that is women's golf. They had their season canceled during their practice round the day before, and they couldn't finish the last hole. But I haven't talked to anybody that was competing at the time. So that is wild and must be pretty surreal to think back to, that you guys were in the middle of a meet and then by the end of the day, you didn't finish it. What was the, when you guys cleared out of there, you're with your team. I mean, was it, you guys were in Kentucky, did you guys bus? I mean, what was the situation to get back, I assume, to South Bend safely before you left home?
Mm-hmm. So as soon as we packed up from the pool, we went straight back to the hotel. We got some food, and then we packed up and we left that day. We didn't get back to campus until about 1:30 in the morning, I believe. So late night, but yeah, it was definitely strange.
For Sadler and Luciana, I'd love to hear your take on all this? Because you guys were not competing, but you guys had just come back, I think, from ACCs and were preparing for NCAAs. And I know that this was, I think, when the rest of school was on spring break. So were you guys both in South Bend when this all happened, preparing, or where were you, I guess, to start when this all went down?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Yeah, we were in South Bend over spring break. The girls' ACC's meet was a week before the guys, so we had been on campus for a bit longer than the guys. And we were just heading to practice like a normal I think it was Thursday, just a normal Thursday practice. Me and my roommate were me and one of the other girls were actually talking about like, oh, we hope that today like we can start our taper, like start winding down and like preparing for the NCAA meet. And then we got to practice and our coaches were like, oh, go in the team room. We're like, okay, maybe we'll just have like a quick team meeting before practice. And they told us we weren't allowed to get in the water, that the ACC had pulled out from all of the championships. So we like weren't going to NCs. And it was just really weird how fast everything happened and like domino effect. And the next thing Maggie was like, okay, like I'm trying to get everyone flights home as soon as possible. Like tell me when you can leave and everything like that. So it was just really fast and weird how quickly it all escalated.
What about you, Sadler?
So yeah, for the guys, we had just actually finished our last chance meet where 4 of our guys had qualified to make the NCAA team. I think a few of them for the first time ever. One was a senior, his last chance. And so we were actually, as Luciana mentioned, they were getting a taper, but we were still kind of going strong. So we were actually in the middle of doing an ab workout upstairs when they told us to go downstairs. And we had been talking about it earlier that day with the coronavirus going on, kind of had, little debates here and there about whether the meet was going to get canceled or not. And so when we went to the team room, we kind of knew our fate that it was going to be over. And afterwards, it was kind of sucked the air out of the room. You had a lot of people that were really sad. They worked the whole year to make NCAAs and didn't get the chance to compete. But thankfully, we did have the opportunity to swim throughout the season at our ACC Championship and last chance meet. So people did still get the high level of competition.
You mentioned people, making it to NCAAs for the first time. I think, hadn't you qualified for NCAAs for the first time yourself?
It was going to be my first NCAAs this year.
So just, I guess, talk me through, from a personal standpoint, what the emotions were, because that's a huge accomplishment and you're right on the precipice of it. And then to not get to see it through, I imagine, there was a lot going on at the time, but part of that had to be that you were so close to it, finishing something off you'd been working so hard for. How difficult was it to kind of wrap your head around all that as everything was getting canceled?
Right. It was obviously very difficult. It's been one of my goals each year. I've come close the past 2 years, but didn't make it till this year. So it was very disappointing. All of us were very disappointed about it. But like I said, we did still have the chance. I was just thankful that I had the chance to swim at the championship meet. And kind of like, it was sad then, but then like turned my thoughts to next year and was like, okay, we got to make it back next year. We got to make sure we stay strong and are ready to compete again. So
something I've talked to with other athletes about, which I think is interesting, is that one thing that's helped them is that it's not just been Notre Dame or Notre Dame Swimming and Diving that had their season canceled. It's been somewhat helpful that it's just everyone. So everyone's in the same boat. Nobody feels like they're being picked on. Kelly, I want to ask you, just now that we're in this new environment, it's been about 2 months, which is wild. You guys have, I'm assuming everyone's taken finals and you guys are done with school for the semester, but just tell me how that transition went, how it feels to be done with school. But what was the last 2 months like going through school in a way that I'm sure none of you ever planned to be a part of when you took on this experience at Notre Dame?
Mm-hmm, sure. So when I came back home, I had never done school at my house before. And so I was kind of nervous. I didn't know how to do online school either, but I worked through it and there were a lot of distractions. I found it really hard to stay focused. but I did, and I created a schedule for myself. I would get up, I would work out, then I'd go through my classes, and then I would work out again, and then I would study, eat, and go to bed. And so finding that routine really helped me stay focused more so than if I didn't have that routine. And I think working out as best I could really did help me also just stay away from academics, because without athletics, I tend to just study and study and study, but sometimes you just need that break. So
What, just out of curiosity, when you say you're working out, I assume you're doing stuff outside of the pool, or do you have some kind of way of getting in the pool? I mean, I imagine there's not a lot of pools open right now.
right. No, I have no access to any pool or dry land or anything like that. Actually, I am on a free trial for Peloton right now, and it is amazing. Me and my family do it every night at 6:00, and it's actually super fun to do with my family.
Do you have the bike? What are you doing? I bought a bike 2 months ago, and I've been riding every day.
I wish I had the bike. No, we're just doing the strength exercises, sometimes some cardio, but maybe not.
What about the swimmers here? How have you guys? I think it's something I've been interested in because, for instance, some golf courses were open when I talked to the golf team. Some guys get out there and play. I think the softball team and baseball guys could play catch here and there with like family members, but it's been tricky. What have you guys done? I guess if you've done anything to try to stay active. I'll start with you, Sadler, because you're laughing over there. What have you tried to do to stay active the last 2 months?
Well, it's funny you mentioned golf because I've played golf quite a bit. Zach Smith is another swimmer. He lives in Tuscaloosa, so we actually got together yesterday and played. But basically, my goal is just do something every day to stay active. I've picked up running some. I've been quickly reminded why I'm a swimmer and not a team. So, but yeah, doing some ab workouts, just trying to get anything you can because no pools around here are open. The lakes are getting close to where you can swim in them. They're still a little cold for my taste, but hopefully soon I'll be able to get in the lake and swim around there. So,
what about you, Luciana?
Yeah, same thing. We've just been trying to run, do some strength stuff, but we don't have any weights at home, so that's kind of hard. The lakes up here are still really cold, but we got wetsuits. My mom's a big open water swimmer, so we got wetsuits, and we've been out to the lake like 2 or 3 times. It's still, last time we went, it was still like way too cold even with the wetsuits on. So hopefully it warms up a little bit so we can do some more lake swimming. But yeah, that's about it.
I've talked we've talked just briefly here about the downside to this pandemic canceling everything. And I've talked to every team about it, but I've also asked them for maybe some of the silver linings they've found in these 2 months. I know for me, I've probably talked like this over video chat with my family more than I ever have before. That's something I found. I'm just curious. We can go around the room here. Just in these 2 months, there's been a lot of, negative and a lot of things that's affected negatively, but what are maybe some of the positives or silver linings you guys have found in the last 2 months that have come out of this unique situation that we're in? And we can start with Kelly, then Sadler, then Luciana.
So I found that outside of diving, there are so many possibilities of things you can do and hobbies. And so I've just been exploring all of these things. I've been watching some more movies, which is relaxing. I started crocheting a blanket. So I've been doing that, picking up some biking. It's really just opened my eyes to what else is out there and what could happen after I'm done, which I've always been worried about. But it's definitely calmed my heart a little bit, knowing that I can find something to do besides diving that I love.
Yeah, for sure. Mine, I would say, would be definitely time spent with family and friends. Second half of the semester is usually very busy, so the only time we really get to go home is for a few days over Easter. And so, this has given a lot more time with family, especially as we've been, in the house together. And also given the opportunity to see friends like I've kind of lost contact with since high school. They're all here too because their schools are shut down. So, you can meet up, do activities outside, things like that. So it's been a great opportunity to reestablish some of those relationships and grow closer with family.
Yeah, I would say reconnecting with like either family members or old friends that you lost touch with has definitely been a silver lining. I've talked to more people than I would have just regularly at school. But also exploring like the area, because there's like a lot of hikes around here, so we try to explore and like go to a new hike like every week with the family, and so just spending more time with family is good.
I'm surprised nobody said sleeping in. From what I from what I know about you guys are up the earliest and have the what should I call it? Maybe the most rigorous schedule of all of the athletes on campus, or at least it's up there. I'm sure another team would like to claim they have a tougher one, but aren't you guys usually up at like 5, 6 a.m.?
Mm-hmm.
And I assume you've not been up at 5 a.m. when you've been back home, right?
Probably haven't woken up before 9. So
That's good. That is a silver lining, I'm sure, is your REM cycles have improved. I want to still look back at the season. I know we talked, for instance, Sadler, you were qualified for NCAAs. Everyone had their season canceled, but I know there's probably still plenty to look back on and reflect. And we can go around the group again. But when you think back to the season that you guys had, the swimming and diving program every year I've been here has really been improving and getting better. And it seems like every year you guys are setting new records and really making a name for yourselves within, NCAA swimming and diving. So even though this season was cut short, when you look back at what you guys accomplished, what are maybe the one or two things that will stick out and the fond memories you have from this season that you reflect back on positively? And again, we'll start with Kelly.
Yeah, so one thing that comes to mind is that the divers at ACCs managed to obtain the most amount of points out of all the dive teams at ACCs. And so just remembering how my team came together and we all lifted each other up, I think is super special, and it really created a bond that I will keep forever with those friends.
yeah, I would say the way the team came together on multiple occasions. So there were many like really tight dual meets that we pulled out at the end, or at ACCs we didn't necessarily finish higher per se than last year, but our team was in a much better spot and supporting each other and racing fast. And we also we were going to send 5 more guys to NCAAs this year than last year. And so it was just a really big testament to the way our team kind of pulled together and pushed each other to succeed. When NCAAs was canceled, it wasn't just the NCAA guys who were disappointed. I'd say, the whole team reached out with words of love and were there for those who were affected. So.
Yeah, our ACC wasn't the best that it was this year, but I would say one of the most fond memories was the week after at the last chance meet, which is the last chance that people can get their NCAA cut. Excuse me. But at that meet, that's where I solidified my cut. But the atmosphere was just so supportive. It was so fun. Everyone was relaxed, just wanting to swim fast and cheering everyone on. So that was a really cool experience to have with some of the girls on the team.
Something I wanted to ask you guys about, we talked about the new schooling system the last 2 months, but I'm just curious because you guys have mentioned being a really tight-knit team and all the support you guys got throughout the season. What have you guys done in these last 2 months when you can't be together? It sounds like Sadler, you golfed, for instance, the other day, which is great. Keep the golf swing finely tuned is important. But I'm just curious, as a group, to stay united or stay in touch. And, you guys should have been together competing, but you weren't able to. What things have you guys done as a team to remain bonded and support each other throughout the last 2 months?
I know the women's swim and dive team offers a Zoom about once a week where we can get together, whoever has time, and we can just talk about whatever we want, catch up, things like that. On the diving side, we have weekly dive meetings, and I definitely make it a point to reach out to my teammates around once a week. It's tough to get to all of them, but just to see how they're doing, catch up. If anything's new, I can let them talk.
Yeah, for us, it's the same. Like we've stayed together over Zoom a lot, text and group chat. For any we've had a few birthdays come, and so we'll all jump on people's birthdays to wish them happy birthday. And I can't really think of a day that's gone by where I haven't talked to someone on the team in some way.
Yeah, I would say the Zoom calls. And then my grade, we've been keeping in touch. We have a group chat that we text in like every day, and we'll call each other and stuff. But really over through Zoom mostly.
I think it's funny. Zoom birthdays are like, to me, they epitomize this whole thing because it's at once like so depressing and it's such a bummer that your birthday's on Zoom. But then like you see people show up and then people say really nice things like, okay, this is, people being their best selves. So I think Zoom birthdays, if I've been to a couple and they will be what sticks with me from the coronavirus pandemic of 2020. Kelly, I just wanted to ask you, Kai Ming Shi was your diving coach and he retired after 25 years. He announced it, I think maybe right before all of this happened. I actually can't remember the timeline. So if you have it better than me, please educate me, but just maybe talk about the impact he had on you and the diving program since you've been at Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we found out right after the meet was canceled. We came back. I mentioned that we went to go get some food. We went to Noodles and Company, and we all sat down, and Matt Weldy actually announced that Kai-Ming had some news, and very emotionally, he announced that he was going to retire. And again, it was surreal that someone that's so integrated into the team and into Notre Dame is going to be leaving us. However, I'm so happy for him and everything that he has accomplished. He is truly a great man, and he cares so much for the team and everyone's well-being. He, from day one, has really helped me become the person that I am today, fostering my development as a diver, as a person in general. He pushes us, and he might be hard at sometimes, but he is such a character, and everything he says is going to stick with me for such a long time. Everyone has so much respect for him, and I think the next step in his life is just going to be as great as what it was at Notre Dame with his grandchildren and anything else.
And I've got two more questions, and they're both kind of about being at Notre Dame or being in the Notre Dame community. The first one is just about the last 2 months, and you guys have talked a lot about your team, but when I've asked a lot of people on this podcast to try to think about maybe if there's somebody within the Notre Dame community that's helped them over the course of the last 2 months, whether it's a professor, academic advisor, could just be, an assistant coach, or it could be a specific teammate. But is there somebody that sticks out who's just been really supportive or a great resource over the last 2 months that comes to mind within the Notre Dame community as you've all tried to wrap your head around this? I'll start with Kelly and we'll go around again, but just who is someone that maybe comes to mind over the last 2 months?
I think Matt Weldy actually works within the Monogram Club, has always been reaching out to the dive team. I know he works very closely with us, but he's always said that he is a resource for us, and anything we need, he's there for. And he's been setting up meetings with everyone and checking in with us and seeing how we're doing and keeping us updated, with new coaches and a dryland room and training and all these things. So he is an essential part to our team and our communication.
Yeah, one who I've been in contact the most is Coach Mike, the head swim coach. He's been in constant meetings with us to see how we're doing, check to make sure we're still doing our job here at home. Just checking on the state of the swim team. He wants to know how everybody's doing. He wants us to make sure that we're taking part in everybody's quarantine and that we're still sticking together as a team. And so that's been huge and has really influenced what I've done here at home.
I'm going to go with the coach too, our assistant coach, Caleb. He's been really good about reaching out, not just with me, but with other members on the team, and just checking in and seeing how people are doing. And he's good to talk to like take your mind off school or all the other hard stuff that's going on. So he's been really supportive through this.
The last question I have is one that I actually haven't asked any other teams yet. You guys are the first ones. I just thought of it. I know we don't know yet when we will be back all in South Bend and back on campus. We're hoping it's soon, but who knows? But I'm curious if you've given any thought. I'll give you my answer first so you guys have an idea of like the thing or place you're most excited to be when you get back to Notre Dame. Mine is the North Dining Hall. I love the North Dining Hall. I refuse to go to South, and I'll go to South if necessary, but I'm a big North Dining Hall fan, and we have some great staff lunches there every now and then that I miss dearly. So I'm curious, and we'll go around the group again, just what's the thing you've been thinking about you can't wait to see or do or be a part of when you get back to Notre Dame?
I really miss the walks from the pool to the dining hall and passing by the library. I always seem to walk with friends and teammates, and so just that time together with those friends as well as thinking about getting food is always exciting. And yeah, just the camaraderie is just something I cherish.
North?
Yes, North.
Okay, of course. All right, good.
Yeah, mine was actually going to be the same as Kelly's. I love the walk from practice to North every night. You're usually coming off a really hard practice. You're kind of tired. All your friends are the same way, and you're going to eat, and you just get to talk a lot about, like, what's going on and, just enjoy seeing Jordan Hall of Science, the library. Like, those are two of my favorite buildings on campus. So I always really enjoy that walk, and I'm looking forward to doing it again.
I'm going to have to say going to the Goog. We didn't lift in there last year, but we went there all the time after practice and lift just to get snacks and fuel up and get food for the road. But I always love going there because you run into so many people. The nutritionists are always there. We always run into Lee, and they're all so nice and always stop to talk to us, and it's fun just to see everybody.
I'm a big team nutritionist. Lee actually lives like 4 houses down from me. Okay. So we are neighbors. Guys, I appreciate you doing this. I know everybody at Notre Dame was bummed. You guys were more bummed when the seasons were canceled. We're all sorry you couldn't finish the season, but we're looking forward to getting back to campus hopefully sooner rather than later. I will see all of you at North. It'll be a blast, and hopefully things are back to normal soon. But thanks for joining me on this episode. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You have been listening to an official Notre Dame Athletics podcast presented by Fighting Irish Media.